YouTuber and former competitive speedrunner Dream got the 1.15 speedrun world record on June the 10th of 2020. Since then though, not one but 4 people have beaten his speedy time of 22 minutes and 3 seconds, with the current record holder being Corey with just under 21 minutes. Corey also holds the super fast 1.16 world record at an insane 14 minutes. Records don't usually last long though, and over time they get shorter and shorter. But when will it stop? How fast can you physically beat Minecraft on a random seed, and when will a world record be achieved that is so fast no one else will be able to beat it? In other words, what is the limit of RSG speedrunning? Today, I'm going to analyze some of the top 1.16 speedruns, figure out the tactics necessary for the best time, and then use that information to model the ideal RSG seed in my own custom world, all in an attempt to make a prediction what the fastest and final 1.16 random seed world record will be. Let's get right into it, and I hope you enjoy. To get the best time, we need the best run. So, what is the ideal RSG speedrun? RSG, or Random Seed Glitchless, is a category of Minecraft speedrunning that has skyrocketed in popularity earlier this year thanks to Dream. The category is split into 3 sections: pre-1.9, 1.9 to 1.15, and 1.16. Each version has a somewhat different meta, and today we'll be addressing 1.16 as it's the most current. The first few minutes of the speedrun are generally dedicated to getting tools and looting a village. That is, getting a minimum of 4 iron from the golem and around 7 beds. This beginning applies to 9 of the current top 10, with the exception of 7th place, Nerdy, who skipped getting villager beds and decided to use string from piglin trading. The second phase of each run involves going into the nether. I decided to measure this in time after getting the final bed of the village as opposed to total entering time. Once in the nether, there are 2 main resources you need to collect, namely blaze rods, usually 7, and ender pearls, usually 12. The order of these 2 can and is frequently swapped. Obviously, while in the nether, there will also be time that one just spends mining gold or running in search of a fortress. To slightly account for this, phase 5 is leaving the nether, which I've counted again as not total time, but as a measure of time spent in the nether from entering to leaving the portal. Phase 6 is to locate the stronghold with the eyes and enter the end, and phase 7 is to actually beat the ender dragon. To get the top RSG speedrun, we need a seed that enables speedrunners to spend as little time as possible on these sections. And obviously this requires a lot of good luck as well as a lot of skill. Well, so how fast can we do all this? Well, to start, let's take a look at the current top 10 speedruns in detail and see how much time was dedicated to each portion of the run. Afterwards, we can stitch together each portion for a rough estimate of the perfect speedrun time. Technically, the fastest village was Benix, the 8th place candidate who got 7 beds and food in just 1 minute and 30 seconds. However, he doesn't actually get iron and decides to leave the desert temple instead. Thus, when he finally gets his bucket and flint, he's already 2.5 minutes into the run. Well, ignoring this time, the next best was Corey, the 1st place runner who got 9 beds, food, and iron in just 2 minutes and 6 seconds. As for entering the nether and leaving the village, this one goes to Corbanos, the 2nd place finisher who entered just 38 seconds after his village with help from a very convenient lava pool. If we count total time, Corbanos enters the nether in just 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Second to only the 9th place runner, HarryOTT, who does it in 3 minutes and 47. From hitting their first blaze to picking up their last blaze rod, the fastest time was that of Nerdy, the 7th place finisher, who got 8 blaze rods in just 1 minute and 16 seconds. As for pearl trading, Benix gets this one again, with an insane 14 pearls in 13 seconds after just 2 trades. The fastest nether was that of, again, Corbanos, who went in and out in just 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Also, with a total time more than 3 minutes less than Corey, our number 1 runner. So what went wrong for Corbanos? Phase 6 did, entering the end. Since leaving the nether, the fastest enter end time is that of Corey with just 2 minutes and 11 seconds, smashing Corbanos' 5 minutes and 28. The reason for this is that Corey did most of his travel by nether, whereas having everything so close to spawn ended up harming Corbanos more than it helped. But we'll look into that more later. As for the end fight, the fastest time actually belongs to Illumina, who holds the 10th place world record and who beat the dragon in just 1 minute and 38 seconds with 7 beds. The dragon fight was also the killer for Benix, as it took him 4 minutes and 45 seconds due to a very pesky dragon that just wouldn't perch. If we combine Karyue's village with Korbanos' nether entrance, with Nerdy's blazes, with Benix's piglins, with Korbanos' fortress, Karyue's end journey, and Illumina's dragon fight, we get a total perfect time of 7 minutes and 57 seconds. But how probable really is that? We can't just expect to stitch together a bunch of runs and call it accurate, because in actuality, the reason Karyue's enter end is so good is because his enter nether suffers from it. He sacrifices in one area to excel in another. Sure, there are parts like the dragon fight that can be stitched together, but things like transport just can't. So what do we do now? Well, luckily, we actually have a semi-perfect speedrun waiting for us. A set seed speedrun. A set seed speedrun implies exactly what you think it does. A predetermined seed. A world pre-planned with the best optimizations, including but not limited to a 12-eye portal. In theory, the world for a set seed run should be the perfect world, making it great to analyze. The current set seed world record for 1.16.1 is 2 minutes and 24 seconds. However, I'll be addressing the 2 minutes 27 one as it's on YouTube and easier to view. They both follow the same format though. First of all, this run is insane. The village is 4-bed looted in just 19 seconds. Coupled with the fact that the nether is only entered 20 seconds later, you can tell this is the pinnacle of speedrunning. Since the portal is a 12-eye, there is no need to collect ender pearls and blaze rods, making those 2 times 0. And the exit time or time spent in the nether is only 48 seconds. As I previously mentioned, the run does a majority of travel to the portal in the nether, similar to Karyue, thus reducing time that would be wasted running in the overworld. The end is then entered 11 seconds later, and the dragon defeated in 51 seconds with 4 beds. This masterful run was insane, and links to it as long as the actual number 1 run in the description below if you want to check them out. But while this run is very good, we can't consider it the limit because of one fatal flaw. You can't assume a 12-eye portal. The whole basis of the set seed genre is finding a portal that's full, thus eliminating 2 of the longest factors, blaze rods and ender pearls. However, in a random seed speedrun, you don't know the number of eyes in the portal and you can't just assume it's 12 and skip steps. So while we can, in theory, enter the nether in 38 seconds, we can't consider the nether time in the set seed run as you would have to assume 12 eyes. Obviously, it's not like any human that just spawned will immediately run to the village and perfectly loot it, but using the seed as our benchmark and assuming it's the best seed out there, we can conclude that a village will never be looted and another will never be entered in less than 39 seconds. Similarly, we can also do this for the end portion. While the entering the end may be a bit less plausible, we can say for sure, almost, the dragon will never be beaten in less than 51 seconds. For the rest of the run though, we need to do something else. As such, I've decided to model the perfect seed in my own custom world to try to visualize what the best RSG speedrun would actually look like. While a run like mine and the set seed will never actually happen in a random world, it is helpful when considering the limit. In my flat world, I made my own ideal village with 5 beds. Frankly, I should have made the big house as seen in the set seed run, but this is good enough, and my enter nether time was 1 minute and 50 seconds. While in theory the perfect run would be the set seed run, I think it'd be best to consider my time, as it is flawed but also somewhat optimized and more human. For the nether, however, here is where we can return to the speedrunners before us. My nether path in the model world was strange, but I think it does a good job representing what you need to do. I took a few seconds to craft bread, like a speedrunner does, and then continued running. Granted, the terrain is perfectly linear, but again, this is supposed to represent ideal conditions. However, this does raise one of the most important points, and that is that the ideal seed doesn't have to have a fortress right off the nether spawn. In fact, it would be best if it actually doesn't. Having a fortress right next to your nether spawn means you'll get it faster, but then have to run to the stronghold in the overworld. On the contrary, if your fortress is far enough away they don't lose motivation but keep going through the nether, you can actually make an exit portal at your fortress, and chances are you'll be much closer to the stronghold. But how close? To answer this, we gotta understand how strongholds generate. Strongholds generate in rings around 0, 0, with the first ring being anywhere from 1408 blocks to 2668 blocks out. In this ring, 3 strongholds spawn, so the minimum distance considering you spawn exactly at 0-0 will be 1408 blocks in the overworld. In the nether though, that 1408 blocks turns to 176, because 1 block on the nether equates to 8 in the overworld. Again, this is considering your nether portal spawns at exactly 0-0, which is the worst case scenario coupled with the best case scenario, a nearby stronghold. My ideal clip in this run is flawed, and I think it's far more plausible to get obsidian from a blacksmith as opposed to 2 fortress chests. Still, using Banix's perfect trade luck and Nerdy's near perfect blaze luck, we can approximately stop throughout the run as needed. Afterwards, I make an exit portal at the semi-perfect spot and return right above the stronghold, thus completing a 2-minute and 15-second nether, or the perfect nether with my bad execution. I throw an eye, and in theory it would go straight down, but it's super flat so it doesn't, and I dig down to a realistic depth where the stronghold is, and luckily, fall right next to the portal. Entering the end takes me just 53 seconds, which isn't really realistic, but surely a limit. Beating the dragon is a different story though. The current method of choice for speedrunners is called one-cycling, where they prevent the dragon from perching by blowing it up with beds from below its body. The most efficient wipeout of the dragon in the top 10 was by Nerdy and Avdron, who both use 5 beds. However, Illumino is actually the fastest, using 7 beds but only taking 1 minute and 38 seconds. The reason for this is that you actually have to wait for the dragon to perch, and this is just really left to chance. However, we can actually return to the set Speedrun as discussed before, using their dragon fight time of 51 seconds with 4 beds. Combining all the sections of the run together gives us our theoretical limit, a time of a random seed speedrunning that will never be beaten, 5 minutes and 49 seconds. A time like this in a random world seems absurd, and because of all the scuffed math I did, I'll add 2 minutes and 20 seconds for niceness and plausibility. And so it is my prediction that a time of 8 minutes and 9 seconds or 7 minutes and 69 seconds will never be beaten on a random seed speedrun in Minecraft 1.16. Yes, it's a pretty easy assumption as it's actually just over half of the current world record, but I still have dread that it's gonna come back and bite me when somehow somebody inevitably beats it. But still, I will hold myself accountable and stand by the claim that a random seed speedrun in 1.16 will never be faster than 8 minutes and 9 seconds. But I'm more than glad to see what people can do and see what world records will come up in the future. All of that said though, that has been me. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please do consider subscribing. I will see you on the next one, and as always, peace out, have a good one.